Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Film Seizure. I am Jason Oliver, and I'm joined by two guys that I talk movies with a lot.
We're those guys.
Their names are Jeff Arbuckle.
What's up?
And Chuck Moore.
What's down?
Dang.
What was your son charged with? That's not. He says that in every.
It is $10,000 bail. I know that much.
Yeah. Oh, everything's $10,000 bond.
Got to put bond is the bond is 1,000 because that's what goes to the bondsman.
Yeah.
Bail is 10,000.
Right.
Right. So he's got to put up bail.
I don't know how this works. I've never been arrested.
But the bond costs 1,000. It's 10%, and you don't get the 1,000 back. That goes to the bondsman.
Right.
But the bondsman puts up bail.
Yes.
Which is the full 10,000. And if they don't show up for court, then he loses the $10,000.
That's why he goes after them.
And he will go after them. Right. But if they do show up for court, the person who pays the $1,000 bond, or they put up the full 10,000. But they get 9,000 back. They get 9,000 back.
I'm Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm pretty sure that's how all that works. Anyway, our film today is 1997's Jackie Brown.
Yes.
Bail bonds.
Bail
and
bonds.
you.
Bail bonds and you.
This is going to be an educational
Max Cherry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better to know me and not need me than need me and not know me.
Max Cherry's bail bondsman. Because it's bail, but he's a bondsman. It's like insurance.
Oh my gosh. This is hilarious.
He also has Tiny Zeus Lister. He will find you.
He will. He's got to be like the best trace skipper in the world, right?
It's his job.
Yeah.
Skip
Like,
tracer.
What I do.
Skip tracer.
Skip tracer. Trace skipper. Trace skipper. This is going to be a fun episode, guys.
Oh my
We're already
gosh.
off to a great start.
This is the third film by Mr. Quentin Tarantino.
It is.
I saw this in the theater opening night, Christmas 1997. It was like Christmas Eve. It was a midnight showing.
Nice.
I saw it at the Quad. Packed house. Electric room. Like, people were fucking amped for this movie. Like, the promotional campaign around this was badass. All the trailers were badass. You had Sam Jackson being Sam Jackson. I think like the AK-47.
Oh my God. That
was
whole
like in every trailer.
video that he's watching, the chicks who dig guns.
Yeah.
That killed me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That killed me. I was dead.
The trailers for this were just like, if you didn't want to see this movie, you just weren't cool. You just weren't cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is coming off the heels of Pulp Fiction,
right?
Too, right, like everyone fucking loved. Did someone already say that? I was listening.
No,
But yes, it is a few years after Pulp Fiction, and yeah, this was the long anticipated follow up.
Yeah,
took 3 years.
Uh-huh.
Well, Pulp Fiction had to run its course, and everybody had to get to see it on VHS. I did not see Pulp Fiction in the theater, but I did see this in the theater. I was trying to think about that last night when I was watching this.
This is one of those movies in the pantheon of movies I've seen in the theater. This is one of the ones I was the most excited for.
I was
18 years
this
old.
Soundtrack too.
Yep.
I did see this movie in the theaters, and it changed my life. Or no, Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
I wanted to go back to Pulp Fiction.
Definitely did not
I
see
did
Pulp
see
Fiction
that
in the theater.
movie in the theaters, and it changed my life. Someone's mom brought us in because what year was that?
94.
94. So I theoretically don't think I could get in.
Yeah, you could have. An R rating, you could have. Because it came out in like September of 94.
I don't even think
we were old enough.
It was in theaters near me because it was kind of like one of those ones that didn't get a really wide release, and then it maybe did after it got some awards.
I think we saw it in like January, February, like the.
Yeah, you could have gone, but I mean.
But I was 15 when Pulp Fiction came out. I mean,
right.
It wasn't really even on my radar when it was in theaters. I saw Pulp Fiction on VHS because my aunt owned it, who I stayed with in Pennsylvania, and I was like, "What is this?" It's like Uma Thurman on the cover. I was like, I don't know anything about this.
I absolutely fell in love with it.
Oh yeah, I watched it and it fucking blew my mind.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. It's one of the movies that made me love movies.
Yeah.
Fact. I mean, yeah, it just is. It's a love letter to movies. That makes sense, right?
Yep.
It's kind of like one of those movies where you see it when you're 15 and you don't know anything about it, and then as you start to like watch more movies and you understand kind of like why it is, why this movie exists. It's because it's a love letter to other movies.
Yep.
And there's just a lot of the onion you can start to peel away.
Yeah.
It really helped me on my journey to kind of understanding really kind of like exploitation cinema. Right?
Yeah, and Jackie Brown is kind of the same way, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, same kind of thing.
Yeah.
A love letter to maybe different kind of movies than Pulp Fiction.
It's definitely inspired by blaxploitation,
Yep.
but not blaxploitation.
Right.
I mean,
It's more a celebration of it than being it.
Well, more than anything, it's a celebration of Pam Grier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And particularly of like Foxy Brown and Coffee and
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of it must have been pretty cool and also a hard sell for Quentin Tarantino. Although after Pulp Fiction, he probably could write his own check. But it's like, yeah, I want my lead to be Pam Grier, this sort of kind of washed up middle-aged black woman, to be my lead. I don't know how that went over in early studio.
The only young
pitches.
And opposite of her, let's put Robert Forster.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, the only
I don't think he was his first choice, but yeah.
Well, the only person of movie going target audience age, the only two people in this are Chris Tucker, who's only in one scene,
Yeah.
and Bridget Fonda, who is set dressing for a good chunk of this movie until she starts to kind of work her way into the plot.
Why not De Niro?
Well, De Niro.
Well,
Jackson?
but I'm talking
De
about
Niro
like
lent the weight.
but what I'm saying is that those were your technical ticket people for the 18 to 29 crowd.
Anyone who saw Pulp Fiction would be driven by Sam Jackson.
Sam Jackson, 100%. Sam Jackson was a fucking star when this movie.
Yes,
Well,
100%. And so was De Niro.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm talking like that's not how marketing tends to think. They think
It's what sold me, and I was that age.
Sure, but I mean, but like
two
we're
things
also different. We're not the normal
Two things
people.
sold me on this movie when I was 18 years old. It was Quentin Tarantino and fucking Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we're not the normal.
I didn't know who Pam Grier was.
We're not the normal people though. It's like the
At
average.
that age, we weren't that much different than everyone else.
The
I'm
average
betting.
person that the marketing people would think of is we got to have hot young people in this. Chris Tucker.
The whole trailer was Sam Jackson.
I know,
Yeah.
but I mean, but like it's not. This movie isn't marketed to the normal audience.
They didn't market it with Chris Tucker, though. That's what I'm saying.
No. I think you misunderstand what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that because he could write his own ticket, and this is a Miramax released movie, he could have these older people lead his movie with an older gaze, because this movie really is not a young, vibrant movie. It's about older people kind of not in their prime.
Yeah,
Right.
but it was marketed. You're right. It was marketed more hip than the movie ultimately was. I agree with that.
Well, and what I'm saying is that the people they're marketing to is not your typical, like Paramount or Warner Brothers wouldn't know what to fucking do with this movie in 1997.
I mean, honestly, they sold this movie on Quentin Tarantino's name.
Right, but I'm saying that the average moviegoer
Follow up to Pulp Fiction.
The average moviegoer wasn't a Quentin Tarantino. You're not going to sell them on Quentin Tarantino.
I saw this in a sold out theater Christmas night, and everyone was fully aware of who Quentin Tarantino was.
I know, but you're.
I think
again,
you're underestimating the power that Tarantino and Sam Jackson had in 1997.
I think
It was
so.
fucking
I think you guys are
ginormous.
overestimating.
No,
I don't think so.
everyone was talking. Like literally everyone was
I
talking.
mean, this
about
movie didn't make a lot of money. It made $75 million on a $12 million budget, which is a fucking success.
Right, it didn't make
It didn't make Pulp Fiction money.
No, it didn't
But-
because it's not because it didn't have the.
But I would guess that like
It probably didn't have the staying power.
60%. Oh, it definitely didn't. I
Yeah.
don't think it had the the word of mouth.
That's where Pulp Fiction made its money.
But everyone like us who love Pulp Fiction came back for Jackie Brown.
Well, yes.
And that made up for, I think, most of the box office.
Yeah, I think you guys are... Quentin Tarantino is the people who like him and will go see his movie. And at that time, it's the follow-up to...
Yeah, the Quentin Tarantino movie everybody likes.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Not everybody likes it.
No, not everybody did like it, but it was.
You know what I mean?
Still,
nobody is everybody.
It was still culturally like a phenomenon, that movie.
Yeah,
it really was.
Right, but I'm just saying is that this is not the.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter, but the point is that I think that this is still a niche movie.
Sure.
So people we hang out with are going to like this movie. The general person on the street.
I'm not talking about who likes it. I'm talking about who went to see it.
Right, but I'm just saying that's like everybody we know wanted to see this movie and went and saw it. But the general person off the street, if you'd asked them if you know anything about it, they wouldn't have known anything about it.
I still don't think you sell it with Bridget Fonda. You sell it with Robert De Niro.
No, but I'm saying that you're selling a movie to a studio would try to sell this movie to a younger audience with the younger people but this movie does not really have that.
Right.
I think that's where we got off path.
But they did try to do that, and it was because every single trailer was Sam Jackson exclaiming, when you absolutely positively got to kill everybody, and didn't say fuck him, but it cut it to everybody in the room except no substitutes, was in every fucking trailer.
Yeah.
And every young person knew who Sam Jackson was, and every fucking young person who liked Sam Jackson went to see that movie because of Sam Jackson.
Sure.
For sure.
Sure. And
he was a fucking star when this movie came out. And he was primarily a star because of Pulp Fiction.
No, yeah, I mean, he absolutely was a star. I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, no, I mean, of course, it was that movie, but I'm just saying that it's like this is still. Yeah, we got off track there because we're not on the same road here.
But you do bring up, I think, an interesting discussion point, because I do believe that for a lot of people, this movie disappointed.
Oh, this was
not flashy, like unorthodox Tarantino.
Right. This is a straightforward movie, and it was not. Like everybody who saw Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs could see themselves as one of those characters, or at least you could.
I don't know about that.
Well, in an idealized way, you could say, "Oh, it'd be cool if I was like John Travolta and I could just kind of traipse in and out of everything."
There's an element of cool for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In this.
I mean, Pam Grier is pretty fucking cool.
Well, Pam Grier is pretty fucking cool, but at 20 years old, I didn't want to be any of these people.
Sure.
It's like these are older characters. These are, I mean, but this also is a kind of a classic tale that happens every now and then. It's like a movie comes out, it's a revelation. Pulp Fiction came out, it's a revelation. The follow-up is unfortunate to be the follow-up, even if it's as good. Some people think this is a better movie than Pulp Fiction,
and
that's fair.
In some ways it is.
In some ways it is, but in other ways it just doesn't have that Pulp Fiction.
It doesn't have that panache.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, think about what's your favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie?
I mean, Sixth Sense.
But a lot of people say Unbreakable.
Well, yeah.
But the revelation is Sixth Sense. The movie that came after it is...
They're neck and neck.
But nobody talks about Unbreakable in the same way.
But I think a lot of the other ones dislike Unbreakable too.
Because of the same reason. It's like, this isn't the Sixth Sense. This is stupid. Or whatever.
I for a long time, I liked Unbreakable more.
Right. But...
But really, he's only made 2 movies. Good movies, and those are both of them.
I kind of like Signs. I mean, it's all right.
We're not talking about Signs.
Signs has some great moments. but it's also very stupid.
It's the first indication that it's like, oh, he can get real stupid. But
oh yeah. Oh,
I like Lady in the Water more than Signs, I think.
I think so too. And that's a stupid movie.
I saw. I've seen only 2 of his movies after Signs.
Oh, really?
Because after The Village,
sadly, I've seen them all.
Split is good.
Yeah, I like Split.
I know, but after The Village, I was like, "Fuck this guy!"
I like The Visit too. It's kind of like back to basics.
Yeah, The Visit was good.
Kind of back. To
they're
basics.
decent movies.
Anyway,
like,
what are we talking about? I'm like,
I don't know.
That's good.
But anyway, my point was that this is kind of the follow up to the Revelation is always going to be
the benchmark is tough. Whatever
it's
comes
going to
after
be
the
tough,
benchmark,
right? And regardless of how much this movie really is deserving of more conversation and more appreciation. Most people aren't going to. If people saw this movie first and then saw Pulp Fiction, it was a different story. But unfortunately, most people see Pulp Fiction first because that's the one everybody's like, "Oh, you got to see this one."
Well, I do think there's something there. I mean, I remember watching this and liking it, but coming away feeling a little let down. Right?
Yeah.
This is a movie that I grew to appreciate.
Yeah.
And I grew to appreciate to the point where it is probably my second or third favorite Tarantino movie. When, I probably couldn't have said that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I really, really grew to appreciate this movie a lot more. And I think it is Tarantino's most in some ways, his most focused movie. He's really intent on just telling a story, not necessarily in a conventional way, but in a digestible way.
Well,
it's pretty concise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be able. I mean, like, you might look at this movie and realize, like, okay, there's double crosses and triple crosses and stuff, and think, oh my god, this is going to be convoluted and difficult.
Right. And
it actually isn't. It's very simple.
And there's a lot of ways you could make it super convoluted.
Right, but it's very. I mean, granted, she has to get lucky at one point.
Yeah.
But otherwise, this is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Tarantino got lucky. Lucky's not the right word, but Pam Grier sells this whole fucking movie.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like, it is an unbelievable performance. It's honestly kind of, we maybe talked about this a few weeks ago, but it's honestly kind of a travesty she wasn't nominated for this. As good as Robert Forster is, he's like my third or fourth favorite performance in this movie.
Well, he was nominated for the supporting role, so
right, yeah.
That might be another one of those scenarios where it's like he's really a lead, but
yeah,
he has a better chance of winning in the supporting. Right. Yeah, because if he and Pam Grier get nominated, they'll split. Somebody would rather say give it to Pam or not vote for him in the other category. Yeah,
there's one moment in this movie that I think Robert Forster deserves his whole nomination for, and he doesn't even say a word.
I look forward to talking about it.
Yeah.
All right.
He's great. No doubt.
So, everybody in this is great.
Yeah.
Jackie Brown, she's an airplane
stewardess.
Steward.
It's funny.
Flight attendant.
It's funny that I don't know enough to know like all of the, Tarantino's known for his pastiche. He's known for his homage to other shots and other directors and kind of steals, and people kind of criticize him for that. And he definitely steals right off the bat, and people criticize him for it. But the opening shot is The Graduate. It's Dustin Hoffman on the.
Oh yeah.
On the
the song is the theme song to another movie.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But he doesn't do that a lot after that. I think he just likes that shot from The Graduate, and it's like, well, what a cool way to introduce a flight attendant.
Yeah,
she's gonna be on one of those conveyors, and I like the concept of her realizing that she's running a little bit late.
There's a whole arc to that.
Cool. Yeah. She's trying to keep her cool. She's like, oh, I can chill on this for a while, but now I got to kind of start moving and picking up my pace, and I get there just in time, right?
Yeah.
Well, and then I mean, there's a whole arc to the final shot. There's 2 really great long shots with her. Actually 3, because there's one right in the middle where she's frantically running around the mall. I think, Chuck, you were the one who said that Tarantino directed the hell out of this movie.
Yeah. And a lot of it is his restraint. It's so much. I mean, Yeah, he's
well. Yeah, there's no blood in Sam Jackson's afro in this movie.
right.
That's the only bad choice in this movie is Sam Jackson's hair.
Oh man, it's something.
Oh, that is something.
It's
and
it's supposed to be outlandish, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He's playing the villain, right?
Yeah.
Playing it up. Play the villain up,
Yeah,
like an outrageous villain,
Yeah.
There's never any question about who he is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this is a movie. This is a mature movie. Whereas Reservoir Dogs is very immature in a lot of ways.
Oh, absolutely.
The Pulp Fiction is probably a little more style over actual substance, although there's a lot of good substance there too, but it's probably mostly style.
Well, yeah, this is the first time that like Tarantino, I feel like, didn't write around a bunch of cool things he thought in his head and wanted to get in a movie.
Yep.
Like, this is really cool conversation I want to have. Right. So how do I fit this in here?
And it bears mentioning that, this is the only thing he's made that's based on source material.
Yeah, it helps that Elmore Leonard wrote a book that he could...
It gives him a framework.
Right.
Yeah.
So it can't go too far outside of Rum Punch.
And he doesn't, probably because he respects Elmore Leonard, he probably doesn't want to desecrate that either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Well, and then, and so he also has, and it's just, it is this much more mature, much more like, these are much more realistic people.
Realistic.
Well, I mean, compared to, John Travolta and Sam Jackson from the previous movie.
I think these people's predicaments are just as outlandish. They're just downplayed.
Yeah. It doesn't.
I mean, it's. Elmore Leonard is a pulp writer.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit more elevated than because he's a best-selling author.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think I just think about the characters in Pulp Fiction. They're almost defined by their eccentricities, whereas these characters are kind of defined by their lives, by what they do in their lives.
That's
not
fair.
by
there's a lot more day in the life
in
this than there is in Pulp Fiction, for sure.
Yeah.
The day in the life stuff in Pulp Fiction is kind of like, it's to serve the cool factor.
Yeah.
Where in this, it's like, these are people who are living normal lives who happen to all convene in this kind of crazy story, and how do they react?
Right.
Yeah. So I agree with that.
I think in a lot of ways, like, Pulp Fiction is the breaking moment for every character in that movie almost.
Yeah.
And this movie is what happens to you after you've had your breaking moment in life. How do you set yourself up for the rest of your life after everything's kind of whatever? Like, she's been arrested, she's made mistakes, she's
right. So how do I get myself out of this?
Yeah.
Using my wits, because that's all anybody really has in this are their wits.
And the people that don't have wits end up in not surviving.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Well, one person,
only the strong survive.
Yep.
There's one character who is wildly witless, and another character who slowly loses his wits.
Yeah.
Smokes his wits away.
something his wits away. Yeah, he's.
I hope that De Niro looks back on this performance fondly, because I think it is tremendous.
It's one of my favorites in the movie.
It's so good. It's so good. It's just so. It's so gradually perfect, and it's understated the whole way until the end.
Yeah, it's the least De Niro you ever see De Niro.
Right.
Until the end.
The end.
Yeah.
And then he becomes full De Niro.
Right.
Right. Scowling De Niro.
And it's his downfall. And it's like, it's wonderful.
Here's something interesting about this movie, too. It's a title character, Jackie Brown. She's in that first scene. She says like 2 words. And then you don't see her again for like 40 minutes. I didn't time it, but you don't see her for a long ass time after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true because
I thought about that.
You're
too.
setting up the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole time. Yep.
Yeah, because you have to see him deal with the Chris Tucker character, Beaumont.
Yes, because everything that happens to Beaumont is what she is in danger of the rest of the movie.
If I had to guess, I'd say Beaumont's his Christian name. Beaumont Livingston. He was right.
Yep.
So yeah, let's what do we got here? We got Pam Grier, of course, is a flight attendant.
Yep.
Basically what she does is she's a money launderer.
Yeah,
smuggler.
She's a
smuggler,
she's
not
a
a
courier.
launderer.
Yeah, she's smuggling money because she has less custom restrictions because she's coming in and out on international flights to Mexico.
She can basically bring as much money because she can bypass everything, and that's important when we see that at the beginning, because there is a scene like right after she gets off that conveyor. She's we see the security people checking bags, and then and then she runs right past that.
Yeah.
So
they
it's
know
like,
her.
Yeah.
She's not a threat. They know who she is.
She's an employee.
She has leeway.
Right.
And that's really important for someone who wants to illegally
bring stuff into a country.
Money into the country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what Ordell is doing. He's selling guns in Mexico, but he's got to bring the money. Which, how does that work, actually?
I don't know. It's kind of stupid.
It is kind of stupid. His money is in Mexico from gun dealing, but how does he get the guns to Mexico?
I don't know.
And why doesn't he just bring the money back the same way?
I don't know. I chose to ignore that.
Well, there's a lot of me too. Like, now that we have to talk about it, I'm just like, that's kind of like what? But it doesn't matter. His money is in Mexico. She brings it back. She works for the shittiest airline because she's got a record. It's the only one that'll hire her. And Ordell has taken advantage of her financial situation and has enlisted her as one of his mules, essentially, to bring his money back from Mexico to LA.
Yes.
And she gets caught. But not before Beaumont gets caught.
Yeah, so Ordell we meet him and Lewis. Lewis is De Niro.
Yep.
And he is they are, he's talking to Lewis about the gun business.
Yeah.
Because Lewis has just gotten out of jail, or recently gotten out of jail.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's talking about all these guns that he sells and everything. And it is funny because we also meet Melanie, which is Bridget Fonda. And she's just kind of a side piece. She's kind of there for anybody's entertainment.
Yeah.
And she brings up to Robert De Niro that he's not really as smart as he sounds.
He's just repeating shit that he's
heard from somebody else.
Yes.
Now, whether or not that's actually true, there's certainly a image thing with Ordell.
Yeah, and there's a lack of respect by Melanie for Ordell.
Yes. So that's all established right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And De Niro is just kind of a hapless jerk, basically.
He pretends I think he's kind of pretending he's a hapless jerk, or I don't know because we find out what he really is. So whatever he is in this moment is kind of like, maybe he's been beaten down by the system and he's not really, he doesn't have that full vigor of what he used to be. It feels like he's getting old.
Yeah.
He's definitely getting old. He's trying to find his bearings. He doesn't really know what he wants.
But I don't think he's hapless. He's just kind of acting.
Yeah.
Maybe not acting is not the right word. It's just the way where he is in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not real sharp to his instincts anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes him a while to piece together what
Well, he doesn't even understand how a car alarm works.
No.
It's like just press the button, it goes boop boop boop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boop, boop, boop.
Right. And the fact that we actually see him having to do that whole thing is also pretty great.
I think he's a little bit institutionalized.
Did this movie take place, I can't even remember, like in the time it was made?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I wonder if over those 4 years where he was in prison, where like car alarms became popular,
Maybe.
and, like beepers came out, and like there's probably all sorts of stuff he missed. Like
that's kind of the way I interpreted it. Yeah.
So then he's
just a little out of his time.
Yeah.
And he's probably not used to a lot of people having those at the very least.
Right. It was a rich people thing before.
But I also don't think he was ever like master criminal. I mean, like
he got caught robbing a bank.
Right. It's like exactly right. It's like shit. I'm impressed, but he still got caught.
Yeah. So he's he's watching the chicks who dig guns.
He ain't De Niro from Heat. That's for sure.
No, and he's not Corleone either. So they're watching this video, which is just girls talking about how much they like guns, and they're wearing bikinis, and they're just like, it's hilarious because it's the most American video I've ever seen in my life.
It's something else. It had to be a shit ton of fun to shoot. Like that's honestly like the biggest Tarantino flourish in this movie is chicks with guns. Like that is fucking funny. And the diatribes he has about every single gun,
right?
Especially when he gets into the 45, it's like the killer had a 45. All these guys want a 45,
right? Well, yeah, because it's like the martial arts stuff was
2% of the people watching Jackie Brown knew who the fuck the killer was.
Right, right. Talk about the
That's a deep cut.
Right.
Yep.
But so basically he's like, he's getting these phone calls. Of course, Melanie's not answering. It's like, it's for you. And of course, he's kind of playing up like his tough guy, probably partially for Robert De Niro.
Oh, most definitely. He's peacocking a little bit.
A little bit. And he's like, get the phone. And she's like, it's going to be for you. And he's like, get the fucking phone. And so she picks up the phone, hello, and then slams it down. It's for you. And one of the calls that comes in is Beaumont calling from prison.
Yeah.
And he's been arrested, so he's going to go and get a bail bond for him. So he goes down and he talks to Max Cherry, who's Robert Forster. And now Forster is not dumb.
Nope.
Because it seems kind of odd that somebody is going to come down here and give him a bag of 10 grand for somebody whose name he doesn't fully know.
Right. And he's like, 10,000's a lot.
And he's got it just in a fucking duffel bag.
He didn't just do whatever. Like, there's got to be more to this if it's $10,000.
Exactly. So, but that's not really his job. He's going to write
Well, he does need to consider if they're a flight risk.
Yeah, for
sure.
So it is his job,
right? Because I think he says he's like from Tennessee or something. He's like, well, you're going to pay for me to.
You're going to pay expenses if I have to chase him down. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But it's not really his job to ask, why does this guy know? Why is this person putting up the money for really something he does? He just needs his basics that he needs for his job.
Right. It should be part of his consideration if he's going to post it. But yeah, I'm with you. I get it.
But he already knows something's a little goofy.
Yeah.
And it certainly is going to be far more goofy the second time he sees him. But so he gets the bond. Beaumont's released. Beaumont's at home, and Sam Jackson decides to pay him a visit. And it's Chris Tucker, which in 1997, Chris Tucker this is a hell of a year for Chris Tucker. He had been in Fifth Element earlier in the year.
Yeah.
It's important to note here real quickly that Ordell finds out that Beaumont will likely do 10 years for what he's done.
Yeah, he's got previous charges. Yes.
And he does play that off to Max about how, it's just the system, and it's how black people are treated, and all of it. It's like, why is it called this for white people, but it's called something else for black? So he's kind of playing it up, but Ordell's not dumb at all. Like, he knows that he just needs to get him out of prison.
Yeah.
for a very specific reason.
Yep.
Which comes up next, because then he goes and he's like, hey, Chris Tucker, I don't want to be that kind of guy who does the, I do you a favor.
I do you a favor.
But I'm going to be that kind of guy.
I'm going to be that guy. I just spent $10,000 on it. And Chris Tucker just wants to be at home, watch TV.
I'm high.
Yeah. He just wants to eat some cereal and watch TV. Yeah, right. Oh, my God. Oh, Big Worm doesn't show up.
Big Worm?
Or no.
Well, he does.
Big Perm?
Yeah.
Big Perm. Big Worm. He does show up.
He does.
Yeah.
But they're never in the same. I mean,
No.
Are they even, do we even know that they're two separate people?
Who? Chris, what?
He's talking about Tiny.
I know.
And
It's
okay,
a silly question.
I know.
It's a silly question.
Anyway, so
Chris Tucker is tiny. There could be. That's where I was going to go with that.
Yeah, tiny and tiny.
Okay, sure.
Anyway, so he's like, no, I've got these Koreans I'm going to sell these guns to. I don't know anything about these Korean guys. What I need you to do is I need you to get in this trunk. And when I open the trunk, you just cock the shotgun, basically. And he's like,
You could get somebody off guard that way.
right.
It's like,
I love how he says Asians are dependable.
Right. So, yeah. So this is
all sorts of stereotyping done by this character.
I mean, there is no one watching this that doesn't understand that Sam Jackson is going to kill him.
I didn't.
Really?
No. I mean, I've seen the movie before,
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's like none of this sounds right. It's like
none of this works.
No, it's like, why would he?
And he questions it appropriately.
Right. It's like, why are you doing? If you're selling them, if they're like, why are you doing this?
But he still does it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the guy is kind of in debt.
Yeah, but oof.
Well, yeah.
I mean, wrong.
So anyway, so so Sam Jackson gets in the car and he puts on his leather gloves. It's important.
Yeah.
Because we see this later.
Yeah, yeah.
And he
This is when it turns into a giallo, and I love it.
Yeah. This is why Chuck loves this movie.
Yeah.
So he starts the car, and there's a song playing, which is I think this is really, really good design here, because there's a crane shot that pulls up, right? Mm-hmm. And you see him drive off.
It's a great shot.
And then all in the same take, all in the same shot, he comes around a corner and he goes into basically like an industrial park. Yeah. And he parks the car.
It's a construction site of some sort.
Yeah, and the sound or the music playing in the stereo is off in the distance now. And he gets out of the car. He just opens up the trunk. And he just shoots him.
Yep.
Twice. And that's the end of that.
Yeah. Bye-bye Beaumont.
Bye-bye Beaumont. Wait, he says something about Beaumont that rhymes. And it's really funny. Like something about
it's not really funny though.
But the way he talks about it is funny.
I was like, that doesn't even rhyme.
Sam. No, something about He's
but like out front in Beaumont, those don't rhyme. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I want to talk about something that's kind of hard to talk about. The use of the N-word in the first act of this movie is holy shit excessive.
Yeah.
Right?
But at least it's only
it's not Quentin Tarantino saying it.
Right. Yeah. And it's only Sam Jackson and Chris Tucker.
Right. But there is something still about,
and then later Pam Grier,
a white writer director, like writing it, right? There was a lot of controversy about this when it happened.
I think Pam Grier said, and we'd have to fact check this, that was Sam Jackson, her, and Chris Tucker that infused their lines with.
Well, they definitely endorsed it.
No, I think they said it more.
Maybe they did.
I think I read that.
I know that Spike Lee wasn't happy about it, which is interesting because Spike Lee and Sam Jackson are tight.
But it's also not surprising because Spike Lee's not happy with a lot of things.
Spike Lee accused Tarantino of fetishizing the word.
Sure, and that is a very, very, in 1997, it's a very valid point to write the material the way you think these characters are going to speak. But also in 2022, it's a valid point to say you don't do that.
You probably can't make this movie the same way.
Unless
2022.
Unless the actors are the ones doing it, like Chuck was.
Or Spike Lee directed it.
I will say that yes.
I don't mean that a negative way.
No, but no,
the big
you're right,
difference to me is it's not a white person saying
True.
it, because that's the cringiest fucking.
It's uncomfortable
of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
is Quentin's scene in the Bonnie situation.
Well, because it's so.
It's not good.
Well, yeah, and what makes it difficult too is that it comes across as being very. It's not the type of thing where it's like, oh, he's being edgy or anything like that. What it comes across as is almost like it's a vanity scene.
Yes, for
because it is him.
And it's all too familiar coming out of his mouth.
Way too familiar.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely. And I like that scene. I don't like the words. It
makes me uncomfortable how much it's used in Jackie Brown.
Absolutely.
Even though in context, absolutely. I guess it makes sense. Like, I don't know. I've never been to a gun dealer's house like that.
When Pam Grier delivers that line, that word, back at Ordell, when she's got the gun on him, it has fucking weight behind it. Like, it feels like I'm throwing all this bullshit gangster shit back on you.
Yeah.
And I've got you under my thumb now.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Well, and there you go. There's one instance in which it's like, now that means something.
Yeah. It's powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, and she's in control.
Right.
Yeah.
But so she now pretty much shortly after Ordell kills Beaumont, Jackie Brown's coming back from a flight, and there's a goofball there with a mustache who stops her.
That guy. Who is that guy? I don't know who the hell that actor is, but I haven't really seen him in anything other than this. And he's such a goofball. He's such a weird juxtaposition to Batman.
Oh, it's isn't it Michael Bowen?
Michael Bowen, yeah. What the hell else was he in? I gotta look this up real quick.
He was on Breaking Bad, but he was also he was on Valley Girl.
Oh man, he was in Night of the Comet. He's been in some weird stuff.
Yeah,
Iron Eagle.
But yeah, he comes out and he's like all like chomping his gum, acting like a badass, and he wants to say. But then we're introduced to ATF agent Ray Nicolette.
Yes,
and
who, by the way, is like a Elmore Leonard regular. That character is.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about him for at least one scene.
Yeah,
next week.
Yes, that's true. Huh?
Yeah, there's a whole story about how Tarantino specifically said, "Just let him be it."
Yeah. Don't
He's not going to take credit. Just don't make waves. Just let him do it. It's the character.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Same actor too.
Yeah.
So so he comes out and he, and he basically, it's like, they know everything. They just need
proof.
They needed proof.
They need to tie it to Ordell.
Well, they need somebody to testify.
Yeah.
And they probably thought they would have that with Beaumont.
But they also want the guns.
Sure.
Well,
that's why the ATF guy's there.
Right, but they want Ordell with the guns, which they don't ever really get
in the conservatory.
Yeah. Which they don't ever really get, which is interesting. But we'll talk about that anyway when we get there.
Yeah.
Nobody really gets what they want in this movie,
Not
except
really.
for one or two people, maybe.
Pam does.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Jackie.
So, yeah, and basically they arrest her because she's got more money than she's supposed to be able to bring in through customs.
Right.
And they both Nicolette and Dargis basically both say it's like, we can leave it to you to talk to the customer. Those guys are assholes, though.
Yeah.
Is it Nicolette that says like they just have a bad disposition?
Yeah.
Michael Keaton is fantastic.
We don't like those guys. He is great. He's really good. He's kind of playing
when
against
is Michael
type.
Keaton not fantastic?
True.
That is very good. That's a very good point.
I think he's underrated. Probably.
Probably.
I think so. Well, he's kind of like made himself underrated in some ways because he doesn't really show up very often. He's selective.
And that made Birdman the movie that it was,
Absolutely.
I think, too. The fact that
boy.
you think a certain way about him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah.
He's the reason Birdman won Best Picture. No doubt.
For sure.
No doubt. I mean, it was beautifully directed, but Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe someday we'll get to see the Flash movie.
I wish.
It's like everything that was going to have Michael Keaton back as Batman is getting fucking
Why
shelved.
can't we have nice things? Fuck you, WB.
Well, Flash is a different story altogether.
Well, I know, but we won't get the
Batwoman. Batgirl.
Was it Batgirl?
Batgirl. Yeah.
Anyway.
Anywho.
We digress.
Anyhow.
So basically she gets arrested, which now, because again, she works for Ordell, that brings him back to Robert Forster.
It's a replay of the Beaumont situation, basically.
Yep.
Has Robert De Niro already gotten the Supremes performance?
I think it's around this time. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, it has to be because he gets the Supremes performance before he sees the body in the trunk
from Simone.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Because he gets. Yeah, somebody describe this because this is fucking great.
Well, all right. So Lewis is staying with Simone, who is one of the women that Ordell has set up, as it calls it. And Simone is kind of a middle-aged black woman who I assume has got some kind of like club show where she does.
I don't know,
tunes or something. I don't know, but she's singing the Supremes.
She's also she sang Mary Wells at some point too, but Robert De Niro doesn't know the names.
She's just doing her little like shimmy dance in her sparkly.
It's fantastic. I'd go see that show if it was at a club.
Like 2 feet, if that, in front of De Niro, who's in like this lazy boy recliner, who's just rocking back and forth
with this goofy grin on his
face and tapping on his.
He loves it.
He's like, this is great. And it's like, at first you think it's like some kind of like escort situation, but it's not.
They're just hanging out at home.
They're just hanging out at home. And somebody was doing a show for him, and it's fucking amazing. and De Niro, he's like, got this kind of just like the satisfied, but not overly satisfied look on his face, rocking back and forth in his chair.
He's enjoying it.
Tapping and a rocking.
The tapping killed me.
It's like old man kind of like keeping the beat tapping on his knees, right? It's so good.
Is at that point I wrote that note, De Niro dancing in the chair. Oh. And like his performance is great. Like at that moment I'm like, he's great in this movie.
Yes, that is the moment where it's like De Niro is fucking bringing it.
Yeah. Subtly bringing it too.
But he is bringing it. Yeah.
This movie should have gotten a ton of he should have also gotten nominated. I think this is a Best Picture nominee.
I think so too.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago. One of you said it. Sorry.
Make note for that. Go back in the past and talk about this. But no, this is just, it's a, because I think about it, it's like, if this movie had, like, if Pulp Fiction and this movie had come out any other time except for right then, when there was this kind of like, I would also say that because 96, everything that was nominated except for Jerry Maguire was an independent movie. 97 was the opposite of that. So maybe it was already kind of against this movie, but like, there's no reason why this movie shouldn't have gotten more than just the Robert Forster.
I agree.
There's no reason for that.
I think it did get Golden Globe noms for.
Oh, I'm sure it got Golden Globe, but
I wonder what those were. I feel like there were Golden Globe nominations.
There were probably other nominations, but like the Oscars was only Robert Forster.
Right.
Great, he deserves it, but where's everything else? Where's the rest of it?
Which is funny because he was like, Forster was Tarantino's fourth choice or something. He had Paul Newman, Gene Hackman, and John Saxon ahead of Robert Forster for this role.
I like Forster probably better than all that. But Forster just seems perfect in this.
Yeah,
to me. He is. Yeah, it's kind of like happy.
Which is weird because Forster, based on based on his based on his career in this movie, like how it's like going back into blaxploitation or exploitation in general, Forster's the better choice anyway.
I mean,
Saxon would have been
good too,
for sure,
but not the other two.
But not the other two.
Hackman or Newman?
Newman would have been terrible.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
He would have dominated the movie.
Yeah. Oh, Hackman would have too. He would have tried to steal every scene. That's the beauty of Forster's performance. Is it's again like another.
Well, this is
measured, understated performance. Like it's thoughtful.
Yeah.
Right.
He gets almost all of the critical appraisal of this. I mean, everybody thinks that this movie's. All the critics thought this movie was pretty good, but all the highest marks went to him. Yeah. And to Pam Grier.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pam Grier needed more because fuck.
She's excellent.
Yeah.
She's so good. She carries the whole goddamn movie.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't carry it on her back. There are other people helping her carry the load, but she is the heartbeat.
Well, what's great about this movie too, though, is like when she's not involved, there's always another. Like De Niro is carrying it when she's not there, and then Forrester's carrying it.
They're all passing a baton.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's a relay race.
Yep. Yeah. And they all kind of have like the same vibe too.
Right.
Like it's sort of an understated cool. It's sort of a little bit like an unsure confidence, right?
With the exception of Ordell.
Right.
Yeah.
Ordell is the tornado.
Yeah.
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 Bull in China shop or the tornado. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the ponytail in the crystal shop.
But everybody's trying to like I don't know, manipulate the situation around it. They're like,
but there's only one person who's actually successful in doing it.
Everyone thinks they have an angle on it. For sure.
And it's funny because at every beat you think that Lewis is going to turn on Ordell.
Right.
But Lewis is fucking loyal as hell. It's crazy.
He
and he still pays the ultimate price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, no, don't. Why? Blam. Yeah.
Why'd you just hit her?
Ordell has no loyal. Ordell is just he has no moral code.
No.
So
it doesn't even matter if you're loyal to him. It doesn't matter.
Well, he expects loyalty, but he can't give it back.
It's utilitarianism for Ordell, or it's or you just become too much of a problem.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And he only solves problems one way.
One way. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
By putting them gloves on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So he gets Pam Grier out.
He
puts up her bail.
Yeah, and then so Robert Forster goes and picks her up.
Yep.
And it's like love at first sight.
Yeah.
And every scene between the two of them is so damn sweet and feels real. Like he's calling her to find out what's going on. And he's like leaving all the numbers that's fucking sweet.
He's kind of, it's not.
It's silly. I mean, it's not what you should do, but it's sweet.
Well, he's a little bit smitten.
Yeah.
And it is sweet. Yeah. You kind of get this feeling that he's kind of feeling like he's alive again.
Yeah.
And he's going and shopping for music, for Christ's sake, you know?
The Delphonics,
man. That's
baby.
some good shit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the soundtrack's fucking great.
It is. And he's thinking about retiring. He wants to maybe get out of the business. He's like kind of rethinking his future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and so like he realizes she's had it rough, and there's probably some realization, a subtle realization that Nicolette and the detective guy Dargis.
Yeah.
Dangus. That's if Steve Brule was talking about this movie, he called him the Dangus. The Dangus.
Yeah, Dangus.
Anyway, if he was, they talked about how, like, you're a middle-aged black woman working for $16,000 a year.
Yeah.
It's like you can't have this kind of rap over you. Your life's over.
You don't have any options.
Right. And he probably subtly recognizes that.
Yeah.
And he just kind of takes pity on her at first and just kind of treats her like a human being, where, like, I'm sure everybody else that she's talked to has not treated her like that in a long time.
This is the first person who has interest in her for her and doesn't want anything back.
Exactly. Except for I don't know.
Don't have the. I mean, you know what I mean.
No, I'm just saying. I was going to say. I was going to bring up Sid Haig. We got to bring up fucking Sid Haig.
Well, yeah, because he's a judge when at her bail hearing,
and he was also with her in the Big Dollhouse.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Where he gets a lot of handfuls of her, and them together in that movie is fucking great. And like, I wish they had more of time together.
Did you know who the public defender was?
No,
Denise Crosby.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I missed it.
It's Tasha Yar.
Ah!
Denise Crosby is the public defender.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. She's the mom from Pet Sematary.
Oh yeah, okay. I was like, I don't know.
Also the mom from Dolly Dearest.
I know that too.
That movie's not that great. Anywho.
But yeah, he kind of, when they go to the bar, he kind of explains to her like what she's been hearing is not accurate. They say 10 years, you'll probably get a year and 4 years probation. Like, he's shooting her straight.
He's shooting her straight. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. But, but that doesn't, I mean, she can't lose a year.
But she can't lose a year. And she doesn't, she's already like at the last possible rung of her career as a flight attendant.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, she's like, well, screw this. I want to turn the tables.
Right.
Yep. I want to take control here.
So
she also noticed that he had a gun in his glove compartment.
Yes, this is super smart of her, because I assume when he got out of the car to let her out, she grabbed it.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, they show it later. He's walking around the car when
exactly because Ordell is waiting at her.
And
place.
she knows that because he told her that Beaumont. What is his name? What is Max Cherry? Tells her that Beaumont got killed.
Yep.
So she's like,
she knows.
No. Nicolette told her that Beaumont got killed.
Oh yeah.
And Dingus.
And that he's the reason why she got stung.
Yes.
And Cherry tells her that Ordell got Beaumont out.
That's the connection.
Yeah. That's the connection. And she realizes I'm fucked.
And she ain't no fool. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So he takes off after driving her home, after getting her a drink, getting her some smokes.
This scene is great.
Yeah, and then
it's really good.
Yeah,
we see
because you don't know she has a gun.
Right. Sam Jackson is putting his gloves on as he's walking down the street, right in the middle of the street too.
Yep.
And he goes to Jackie Brown's house, and he basically he's not really saying anything bad yet, but he is menacing as fuck. And then he turns out the lights.
Yeah. And you know what his motivations are, because you saw what happened to Beaumont.
Right. He was cool with Beaumont too.
Yeah.
Until he wasn't.
Right.
Yeah. So
like you got a vodka? You got some OJ?
Make me a screwdriver.
Make me a screwdriver.
Yeah. So he
man drinks a lot of screwdrivers.
Yes, he does.
In this movie.
Yes, he does.
I don't blame him.
He's like I like them too. He's like the dude in his White Russians.
White Russians, yeah.
So he so he says so basically he's like, he's being nice to her. He's like, oh, I'm sure you do much better than all right with the guys. And he's like kind of disarming her a little bit, or trying to. But she knows what he's there for, and certainly doesn't help when he turns out the lights and then puts his hands around her throat.
Yeah.
Well, he turns out the lights, she turns them on, and then he turns them off again. And then he grabs her.
Yeah, and then she holds the gun to him, to his dick.
Yeah. Is that a gun on my dick?
And then she forces him against the window, puts the gun to his head, and takes his gun.
Right.
Which is great the next morning.
And that's when I can't forget the exact line, but she's like, it's essentially, if you were to quote, Good Will Hunting, it's the how do you like them apples, but it's like, I got your nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
N-word, and it's power. It's like she has so much power at this point. It's
well, he never fucks with her again.
Nope.
At least until he had to.
She gives him the plan. She's a man with a plan, right?
Right.
And he's down for it, because she's like, look, if I go to jail for this, you're going to pay me $100,000. If I go to jail for, more than a year, it's another $100,000. It's like, I'll do the time, but you're going to pay. But I have a better way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get
now that rhymed.
Mm-hmm. Let's get all your money back from Mexico. And she lays it all out for him. And he sees the light.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually respects it. He's like, all right, let's do this. And when he leaves, it's kind of like they're partners.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a mutual respect. He's come around. And you get the sense that she's safe, at least for now.
Right. And then Robert Forster discovers he doesn't have a gun.
Yeah.
That whole story about him actually explaining that he went back to the, he found out he didn't have his gun. So he went back to the office, got another gun, got the stun gun, then went to the guy's house and then sat there in cat piss and waited for him. And it's like, you didn't have to say any of that. You didn't have to tell her your entire evening after you dropped her off. Yeah, it's because he had to go pick up another person who skipped.
Yeah.
A tray skipper?
Yeah, tray skip.
That's it. Okay.
Skip trace.
I think he has a bit of like, well, he over speaks to her because he's not that. That's what he's smitten, and he's like tripping over his own words because he's very calculated when he talks to Ordell at the office.
Yeah,
but whenever he's with her, he's just kind of almost like a motor mouth a little bit.
He's a little socially awkward
with her specifically.
With her, because she definitely gets his motor running.
Yeah. He wants to head out on the highway.
But I get the sense that he's kind of that way outside of his professional self.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, and also, she's a little taken aback by the fact that you went into some guy's house that it's like, what if, it's like, he's not to be fucked with either.
She's like, you can do that?
Yeah. It's like, you can do it. And it's like, what if he came in with a gun? Well, that's what the stun gun's for, is the disarm, and it's like, he's very, like, when he's talking about his job, it's like, it's no nonsense, but like, she's still taken aback by it too. It's
he's the dude. Yeah. Like he could kick some ass if he needs to. And he plays it really, the entire movie, he plays it really cool.
Yep.
Yeah. But that whole thing with her making coffee and like milk went bad while I was in jail.
Right.
That whole thing's cute. And she's playing the Delphonics and he's like, I really like this.
Right.
This is pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. And then later, oh God, that one scene did not have to be in the movie, but the scene of him at the shop buying the tape. Yeah. It's like, that is 30 seconds of perfection that does not have to be in the movie, but you fight for that 30 seconds to remain in the movie.
It's a little hammer on head, right? Like a little bit, like if you haven't realized by this point that he's falling for her, this is like...
But why not show it?
But it sets up all the music he plays later.
Sure.
Yeah. Right? And it also kind of, it's such a, like, an age thing too, because he buys the cassette and walks through all the stacks of CDs, right?
Yep.
It's a character note. It's like Jeff would say, it's the little thing.
It's a character note, and it also informs Ordell later. And if you if you have him playing the Delphonics without showing why he has it, might be a problem.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's it's the little characterization there that, it's like, it's him having a little piece of Jackie around all the time. Which is, it's one of those sweet things. It doesn't have to be there. It doesn't have to exist, but it's sweet that it does.
Right.
Yeah. So, basically she lays out the plan to Max, and Max is like, I don't know. It's like, does this,
Is this the part where she asks him like straight up? No, I don't think it is. Maybe it's later. She asks him like, if you had this opportunity.
Oh, this is later when he talks about like possibly retiring.
Yeah. We kind of mix those.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not, the story beats, that's not too far off.
Right.
But yeah, so it's like, she's basically saying, it's like, this is the plan. And he's like, I don't know, this is risky. Because a part of him is still part of kind of the law enforcement machine, where it's like, he can't really know about this sort of stuff. He can't really and he certainly can't tell her everything she wants to hear, because he also knows the reality of it.
I get that, but also that he's shown in the past when Ordell showed up that he will look past. He knows that Ordell is, like Ordell even admits it. If I show up with $10,000 in a bag, they're going to start asking questions about where I got it. Max is not dumb. He knows that he's got it by means that he wouldn't be able to explain, and he takes the money anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's part of why Max wants out.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm done.
This is questionable. I don't like it.
Yeah. But he also presses Ordell for the money too. He's like, there's a lot of paperwork, and you still need to give me the 1,000.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm still running a business here, right?
Yeah. Does my white guilt?
Right.
What does he say?
Oh, it's going to be like that.
Is white guilt supposed to make me forget I'm running a business?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be like that. So he gets into his little fanny pack.
He's like, I got $1,000.
So yeah, and so yeah, basically for a gigantic chunk of this movie, it's now going to come down to Jackie Brown setting the plan in motion with Dargis and Nicolette, and saying, it's like, okay. They're going to do practice runs where they're going to mark some money, and they're going to have it pass off to another one of Sam Jackson's setup girls, Sharonda. Yeah. Sharonda is a tragic character.
Oh my goodness, so tragic.
She's this country bumpkin who apparently just came out of like some shack in fucking Alabama.
And he never bought her any clothes.
I told her Compton was Hollywood. Like,
yeah.
It's so sad.
It's super sad.
And she's an idiot.
She's clearly strung out on drugs or something. Yeah.
And she's kind of an idiot. And
because she's strung out a think.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because later on
he's exploited her really badly.
Yeah, and like later on, because like when Max shows up at her place, it's like, don't worry, she doesn't even know you're here.
Yeah. She's not like his little surfer girl,
right? Who's just happy with pot, basically,
right? And who has a brain,
right? Maybe that's what gets her killed later,
right? She's at least streetwise. And she's surely not like Simone, who I probably won't fuck with Simone.
No, but I'd go see her show.
I would,
whatever her show is, I'd go see it.
Simone she just seems like she's living a good life.
She's badass.
She's badass. See the Supremes,
and the fact that we don't even realize that's her later,
right,
is brilliant.
Yeah.
You're right. I did not realize it was her picking up the money.
Yep.
Second bag.
Until it was said, and it's like, oh my god, that it's like she was wearing a wig earlier. Okay,
yeah.
So, but anyway, no, so it's like, so basically, she's working with Jackie Brown is going to work with Sam Jackson and the law guys, and she's going to set it up basically where she's going to basically double cross both of them.
Yeah.
And take the money for herself.
Cross.
Yeah.
Triple cross. The cops think that she's gonna bring the money in and give them to Ordell. Ordell thinks that she's gonna use the cops to allow safe passage for the money and trick them into diverting the money elsewhere, and then so it gets to Ordell. And what she's really gonna do is trick them both, keep the money with Max's help.
Which at one point Nicolette says, as long as I get Ordell, I don't want to know about anything else.
Right.
Which is like permission to her.
Yeah, because at one point, like she meets
They don't
up,
give a shit about the money.
No.
Right. Yeah, they want the dealer. It's like the money is just going to end up in a locker.
Yep.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything. It's just going to be confiscated.
She even like that's the conversation where he's like, well, what if a little bit of this money goes missing?
Yeah.
They have that little sly conversation
when he's marking the bills.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's like, you shouldn't do anything stupid.
Right.
Basically. But
they both kind of know the score.
Yeah, if it slips through, it slips through, but I better not find out you did something.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is...
They are the dumbest motherfuckers in this movie, though.
Well, everybody's dumb.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're being led around by the nose to the big catch, right? So it's like they're kind of being.
And this is where Max Cherry kind of gives her color, he's like, I know these guys. I know what their motivations are. I know what they want. And she's like, okay, I can use that.
Well, he also, they meet and they have dinner or lunch at the mall or whatever. And because she sees him there and it's like, oh, this is so, and he's like so excited that and she talks about, it's like, yeah, I was talking to Nicola and it's like, oh, you think he has a thing for you? It's like, he wants to know right away.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
And she's like, I don't know. And it's like, I love Pam Grier. Of course,
I love how he talks about Nicolette like he's a young, like up and comer.
Yeah,
yeah, the 40-year-old Michael Keaton. Yeah,
right. Like maybe to you, Robert Forster.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I mean, I guess compared to Robert Forster, we're all young spring chickens.
And Ordell sees him show up there too, and he has a little bit of.
Oh my God!
What the fuck is going on?
What the fuck is going on here? To himself, where he almost walks away and runs into the corner. I was like, oh, and then he turned just in time. I was like, oh.
So we have that going on. We have Surfer Girl telling
De Niro,
Lewis, like, hey, this is what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
we should grab the money.
Yeah, because by the way, at one point they're having like a little catch up, like he's like asking about the pictures like on her TV and everything.
Oh, you're 16 here?
I would have swore you were. No, he said 14. It's like I would have swore you were at least 16.
Yeah.
And then they show the picture and it's like, I think she's like 23. But anyway, so like Bridget Fonda is like they're having this conversation and then just like without missing a beat, it's like, you want to fuck?
Yep.
And he's like, and he does the Robert De Niro
and that's like one of those Tarantino flourishes.
3 minutes later.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that
was fun.
That
really hit the spot.
That really hit the spot. But then later he finds out that that Melanie's no good at fucking anyway.
Dude, that conversation.
So like that whole thing.
That conversation between Lewis and Ordell, where Lewis tells Ordell first that she is basically trying to scam him.
Yes.
And then also confessing to fucking her. He was like, well, I mean, it's no big deal. I figured guy's been in the joint for a long time. He needs some pussy.
Yeah, throw you some pussy.
It's like, but I'm glad that you felt at least a little bit guilty about it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know if he said that, but he should have.
That's a really funny scene.
Well, that's when he says like, Melanie is Melanie. What? Go ahead.
You can't trust Melanie, but you can always trust Melanie to be Melanie.
Yes. And because he's been through this rodeo before. She's tried to scam him.
Yeah. But she's this little white surfer girl.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, every home should come with a bikini top Daisy Duke clad Bridget Fonda from 1997. That'd be great.
Until she scams you out of your.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying you get Melanie specifically.
Oh, okay.
You just get Bridget Fonda.
You just get Bridget Fonda.
Right. But anyway, so the
the first dry run.
The first dry run is when we see Sharonda sit down with Jackie Brown. Oh God, the poor girl. She looks hungry. She looks disheveled, strung out. Yeah. She can't even talk hardly, and she's like,
Jackie has to tell her like, you can eat.
Yeah,
Jackie's trying to have pity on this girl. Yeah, it's really it's oof.
Right. Yeah. This is not a kind business and Jackie knows what Ordell probably does to people.
Right.
So it's like, okay, but then you don't realize that.
Sharonda. Not Sharonda. Yeah, go ahead.
Simone is at the table next to her, and she leans over to Sharonda and asks for the time. She's like, I ain't got no watch, or whatever she says. It's so pitiful. And like she gets away, and she kind of stands up, and she kind of slinks away with her bag. And then the other woman gets up and goes the other direction with the bag, and Max already knows.
This is the moment where I'm like, this is best supporting shit right here. He doesn't say a word, and his realization, like he's watching it and you can see his eyes kind of get bigger and he realizes what's happening, and he's like, this could work.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. Like his understated, the way he watches it is so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good.
And so, and basically, also he watches Dargis and Nicolette follow Sharonda.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, the misdirection does work. It's like, okay. So basically, he's all in at this point.
Oh, and she's made sure that they're not going to stop her. So it's a dry run for them, but it's also a dry run for the overall scam.
Right.
Right. They need to let the 10,000 get away.
Right. She's
otherwise
worried that 10,000 get away, but there's no 10,000. If they decide to stop Sharonda, the whole gig is up.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they don't stop Sharonda,
if they don't stop Sharonda, then this is a dry run for the Triple Cross.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
it's great stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it really is good.
So I guess really
I kind of want to read how Elmore Leonard wrote that. I kind of do
too. Yeah.
So basically, yeah. So now I guess at this point, I mean, where do we go from here?
We're on
pretty much it's time for the Triple Cross.
It's time for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they're going to meet at 3:30 at the mall, and there was a specific store that Jackie Brown is going to go into because she wants to buy a suit there.
And she's got to make it look good because she's got to get the bag.
She's got to get the bag. And she also wants to buy the suit for another reason.
Yes.
Because she knows.
She looks sexy as fuck in that suit.
It's a fucking power suit, man.
Yeah. She can do anything she wants to me. Jeff was like, what? I mean,
normally
sexy.
I say shit like
Sexy,
that. But anyway. So she basically
tune in next week for Eyes Wide Shut. Or no, was that last week?
Last week. Tune in last week.
Damn it.
Tune in next week for last week. Brain's broken.
Brain is broken.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she also knows that Melanie's gonna fuck them all up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Melanie.
She doesn't trust Melanie, and Melanie doesn't like her either.
No.
Like they have one scene together, and they fucking hate each other instantly because she goes to Melanie's place to see Ordell, and and so
she keeps an extra packet of money, like extra $10K, to hopefully, placate Melanie.
Right. She's like, I left you something, a little extra on top. What has he ever done for us anyway?
Right. But Melanie thinks she's got the whole thing anyway.
Right.
But that kind of like takes a little bit of all the suspicion off. Maybe she doesn't need to check it. She just feels like, and the weight is good because it's packed.
The weight is
books.
As we find out. Yeah.
Right,
so she comes and they switch the bags, and then she comes out frantic.
Yeah.
And she almost like walks away without her change after paying for the, and
right.
She's like, and it's like, oh, because you see her kind of building up to that in the dressing room.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, is like Robert Forster like late?
She's working herself up. Yeah.
Oh, I should add that Melanie has already gotten on Robert De Niro's nerves for being late.
Yes.
She's always late. That was set up a couple of scenes previously. And
I love the way this whole thing is shot too, because it's shot from each perspective.
Each person's perspective, yeah.
And there's a moment
where
Robert Forster, Max Cherry, and Lewis see each other, and they like.
Yeah.
This is kind of like this is the thing that kind of gets
Lewis.
Max. Well, it gets Lewis and Max kind of like in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
Lewis most.
Lewis, sure.
I don't think you can get in any more trouble than Lewis.
Than dead.
So basically, from their perspective, from Lewis and Melanie's perspective, he is just pissed. They're late for the swap. He's dragging her around. She wants to waste time. She wants to look at dresses. She wants to go over to that side of the store. And he's like, "Fuck,
give me the fucking bag and let's go."
Right. And then they get the bag, and he's like, she's kind of like waving her, and it's like, give it. It's like he's being a dick. It's like he's been cool for most of them. Now he's like abusively dickish.
He's like I think he's tense. I think he's
not good at what he does.
He feels a little like exposed.
Yeah. And so, but basically,
and he's not dealing with a professional here, and he's far from what he used to be if he was ever good at all.
Right.
And he knows that she wants to double cross Ordell, which would be a problem.
So he's
for
trying
him.
to manage that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's I think his real motivation.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Then they go outside and he can't remember where they parked.
It's hilarious.
She is just needling him.
Yeah.
Like, how did you rob a bank?
Which is a fair question.
Did you have to look for your car after you robbed the bank?
That line is fucking hysterical.
And she is, Bridget Fonda is so good in this scene. Like, oh my God. Like, she's just pinpoint knives.
I have to assume,
Just needling the shit.
and I apologize for the listeners out there who have read Elmore Leonard, but I have to assume that he has some humor in it, because
I would too.
between this, there is some humor in Out of Sight. There's a lot of humor in Get Shorty. I have to assume that it's baked into his book.
I would think so. He wrote a lot of Westerns too.
He wrote a lot.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm thinking of someone else. I think he wrote some Westerns. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Are you thinking of Cormac McCarthy?
Or I might be thinking of Louis L'Amour.
Louis L'Amour.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
doesn't matter. I mean, but there's always moments like this where it's like, this is funny. Now, we all know she's going to die.
Yeah. I mean, we're on a train to that. Yes. There's no doubt about it. He is at his wit's end.
But we think he can at least wait until he gets back to the VW bus. He just shoots her in the middle of the fucking parking lot.
Oh my God.
And it's like, this is where Jackie Brown gets lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she didn't know that Lewis was going to kill her.
Right.
She didn't know anything other than she was hoping to basically buy some silence from her.
Yeah.
And so this is where she gets lucky. Also lucky is that she has some of that marked money on her.
Yeah.
Because when Ray Nicolette brings, so from Jackie's perspective, she comes out, she's frantic. There's a long shot of her tracking her out of the store. She's looking around, and she then calls for Nicolette.
Help.
And
Ray.
Yeah, she calls for Ray, saying Melanie busted in. She took the thing. It's all fucked, basically. So now she also has to act up the idea that she's screwed, potentially. So like he takes her to the station, and he's pissed at her.
Oh yeah, they're not buying it at all.
Well, it's like, why are you wearing the suit? What's that? And it's like, and she, it's like, I'm early, and he's like, don't get. And she's like, no, listen to me, I was fucking early, and I needed a reason to be in the dressing room, basically. And he's like, well, then you didn't have to pay the girl. It's like, yeah, I kind of did have to. It's like he's missing the like, yeah, she did have to pay the fucking.
I couldn't just steal the suit. I was freaking out, and I had to.
Yeah. It's like, dude, you know that. You're a lawman, So, but anyway,
it's also all very convenient.
It is also all very convenient, but at the same time, she still convinces them that she can still deliver their prize.
Sure. But they're like,
they're
highly suspicious.
And he basically is like, you better fucking make good on this.
Yeah.
Like this, you get one last shot. We're on everybody at this point.
And this is where Nicolette says, I think, like, as long as we get him, I don't care what happens with anything else as long as I don't know about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And he gets called out of the room, and that's when we find out that now Lewis has gone and met up with Ordell, and Ordell has killed him.
Yep.
Because God, that's when he's like, so where's Melanie? He like looks in the back of the van. Where's Melanie?
She was
almost like she
was bugging me the whole time, man. She's don't know.
So you left her there?
I shot her.
You couldn't have just hit her.
You shot her. I shot her twice.
And then this is like when you really know how far De Niro has come. Lewis has come. He says, "What the fuck happened to you, man?
Yeah,
you used to be beautiful."
Right. Well, then he also like he says like, are you sure she's dead?
Yes,
so I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. It's like pretty sure. What the fuck is that? It's like, because there's one thing we don't need is that bitch to still be alive.
Right.
Well, no one can be. I mean, that's Ordell's world.
Right.
As soon as someone becomes someone that can compromise them, they have to die.
Right. And there goes Lewis.
Yeah.
So basically, now Ordell has to go hide out at Sharonda's place. And Nicolette also tells Jackie that it's like, you better hope we find him before, because we lost him.
Yeah.
And she's like, I thought you had him trailed. And it's like, well, we lost him. And it's like, you better hope we find him before he finds you. And then now, as far as Mac's side of it, he did get the bag and he inspected it before he left. And it's like, there's $540,000 in this bag. So he's like, hey, all right. So he takes off, and Ordell calls him at his office. And he knows, things have not gone quite the way we expected. So he gets his buddy Tiny Lester, Zeus. And he's like, hey, I got something for you. No holds barred. I need you to go over there by Friday and find this guy. I'm out of Tiny Lester movies.
Yeah.
Fifth Element.
Okay.
Anyway, he's like, I need you to find this guy. And he's like the best fucking skip tracer
in the world. And he finds him.
Trace skipper.
And Max Cherry goes.
And he this is great timing. He bangs on the metal storm door, and instantly shot out of a cannon, here comes Ordell. It's like, why are you knocking on the door like the police? And he's like, I've got your deposit back. I got your bond back.
Playing kind of dumb.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, wait, I thought you had all my money. And basically Max can't hide anymore that, Jackie's got it. But he does say, basically, it's like, Jackie's got it. She wants to give it to you personally.
She's in my office.
And she's in my office. He's like, all right. And he calls her. And she's like, yeah, I'm waiting for you. And she's like got a gun. She's like, practicing like how she's going to draw it fast.
It's hilarious how bad she is at it.
She is very slow. She's very slow. Yeah. Sheba baby, she is not in this. But then she, it's like, turns out the light, and decides she's going to sit there in the dark. And she comes in, or, like he comes in with Max. He's like, why are you sitting there in the dark? He's like, and then she yells out,
she's got a gun. He's got a gun.
Ray, he's got a gun.
Yep. And they just come in and fucking shoot.
God, Ray fucking nails him 3 times, lights out, no problem.
See, this is what I don't understand about the movie is they didn't get an arrest. Usually you want an arrest.
They didn't get the guns either.
They didn't get the guns. They didn't get him really doing anything at all.
They knew he killed Lewis. They knew he killed Lewis.
Did they?
Yes. They 100% knew he killed Lewis.
Because he told Jackie that Lewis was dead.
She is brilliant here because she employs the Ordell against Ordell. Yelling that he has a gun means he gets killed, and her only loose end is no longer alive.
Well, I know that. I mean, but he...
The cops don't get what they want. That's what I said. Nobody gets what they want except for Jackie.
Yeah.
Right, because and like the money's to the wind at this one. They don't know who has the money.
Right.
They have no reason to think really.
Well, definitely
they don't care. They said they don't care.
Well, that's the thing though. It's like it's definitely ain't Melanie. It's not Lewis. Like who the fuck would it be?
But Ordell could have left it anywhere. He didn't have to have it on him for there to be.
Because they do say, does he have any money on him? And Robert Forster tells him exactly what he should have on him.
He has 40,000 in unmarked or 10,000 in marked bills or something like that.
He's got it. The rest.
Yes, because he has some on him. Yeah. It's kind of a brilliant plan.
So they are able, but they can't just let him. And he does have the gun. So, like, he did have the gun out.
Yeah.
Right. So,
like, probably the same
Jackie's
gun he shot Lewis with.
And they can't do anything to Jackie anymore.
But they didn't get the guns.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Tiny Zeus Tiny Lester coming out with the fucking baseball bat. That's probably all she really needed.
Zeus Tiny Lester.
Whatever.
Tiny Zeus Lester?
Yeah.
Zeus Tiny Lester?
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter.
His name is only Zeus in the movie.
No, I thought his name was really Zeus.
No, really, it is Zeus.
I don't think so.
I'm looking it up right now.
That's how
Talk
he's been
amongst
billed.
yourself.
Anyway, so he comes out with the fucking baseball bat, and they're like, "How'd you find him?" Is this what it's my job?
That's my job. That's what I do.
And they're like, "Okay."
You want to come work at the Force? And then we have like the little denouement.
Oh God.
Where Jackie goes back to see Max, and she's kind of like,
it's Tommy. Tommy Dwayne Lister.
I told
Jr.
you it wasn't Zeus.
He's been credited with Zeus.
No,
he only has.
He's credited as Tiny, not Zeus.
Tiny.
I'm right. Here, just so you know. But she has that conversation where she's like, "Come with me."
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can come with me, which you can read it however you want. She walks out the door and drives away.
Well, she thinks that he was going to retire anyway. Yeah. She thought that they were going to leave together.
He watches her leave, and he turns around and stands looking at. I'm pretty sure he chases her. Like, he goes after her.
Maybe, but I love the fact when she's like, "You're scared of me." He's like,
a little bit.
Yeah. Because she is not the person that he thought. Now that's on him for assuming that she was.
But he also aided her in this thing, so he's no better than her to that point.
That is true. But
he only took 10% though.
Yeah.
She's like, "I'd feel better if you took more money." I'm like, that's all you had to say.
You just Sam Jackson that.
So but anyway, yeah, so like, again, this is another, it's like, the end of this is so good too, because it's like he gets the call. He's like, "You're still running a business." He's like, "Hey," so you got to answer the call. And it's a lady that's asking about a bond for her son. And Jackie just leaves. Yeah. So he's like, and he sees her get in the car, and he's like, "Ma'am, can you call me back in like 30 minutes? It's like, I've got to excuse myself for something." And he doesn't catch her. So then it switches to her perspective. And there's, again, that long shot of her, listening to Across 110th Street.
Yeah.
Singing it
at the end. Yeah.
Driving away.
And, so again, it kind of begins and ends with her kind of solitary, kind of being focused on moving someplace.
Yeah.
By the way, one quick thing, another brilliant Robert Forster thing. When he goes to collect the bag, because she tells the lady at the front desk or at the checkout,
someone left a bag
in the last stall, and he comes in. It's like, "Yeah, my wife said there's a bag or something," and the lady
left a bag of beach towels.
The lady's kind of shitty to him,
a little bit.
Yeah, whatever. It was in the last stall, and he goes and gets it, and the lady's on the phone, and then like as he's walking out, he's like, "Got it.
Yeah, I got the bag."
He thumbs up, and it's like, it's so goofy, but it's like, it's kind of it's very realistic.
It's very old man gets bag out of last stall. Perfect.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been there. Yeah, perfect. This is a really good movie.
It is really good.
It's a very good movie.
I was trying to look and see who that was.
The reception or the counter lady?
Yeah, because she
Amy,
looked really,
the counter girl.
She looked really familiar.
It's Amy Graham.
Is that Heather Graham's sister?
What are her?
Maybe.
Was she in the True Blood?
Doesn't Heather Graham have a sister named Amy?
Amy Graham. She was in From Dusk Till Dawn. That's interesting.
Maybe Quentin Tarantino was.
So she knows Tarantino. It's odd.
That's odd that he knows anybody.
Yep.
I hear he knows Sam Jackson too.
She doesn't have very many big credits, though.
I think you guys were talking about where this ranks.
Perdita Durango.
Like 2 or 3. You said it's your second favorite. You said it's your third.
Yeah.
Around there, like approximation.
I don't know. It's hard for me to.
I've not actually seen all of Tarantino's movies.
Oh, really?
What have you not seen?
Django.
Django's really good.
Really good.
And I've seen Inglourious Basterds. I saw so long ago, I don't hardly remember except for the change in history.
I'll tell you what, that movie has gotten better for me. Like the last time, first time,
Inglourious Basterds.
Inglourious Basterds. The first time I was like, "There's too much like dull, like stretches in it. But the last time I saw it, I was like, the dull stretches are great. Like, there's great acting, there's great story going on. Like, as I get older, I appreciate those.
There's a lot of great characters in that.
So, Jason, I assume Pulp Fiction is all of our number ones.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Yeah.
I saw that a few years ago at Flicks Brewhouse. First time I'd seen it in probably 10, 15 years or something. And oh my God, it's still every bit as good as the first time.
I caught it on Susan and I were in Nashville, and we were like got home late in the hotel, and we put on the TV and it was on.
You watched it to the end.
Watched it to the end.
Yep.
I mean, it's fucking that good. I mean, it's every time.
It is a watch to the end movie.
I watch it every couple years at the very least. It's still in like probably my top 10 ever.
Oh, I would say it's definitely in the top 25 favorite movies, maybe top 10 most important movies of my life.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
There wasn't a movie. It was kind of a weird few years because that came out and then The Usual Suspects. And those two movies like both changed my opinion on what a movie could be. And I still love them both very much.
Yeah. I mean, I think about like movies in my lifetime, not like, I mean, because like obviously like, you know, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest for me trumps everything.
Right.
But like in my lifetime, it's like between there are no movies more important in my lifetime than Pulp Fiction and Clerks.
Clerks is way up there. Yeah.
And they both came out in the same year. 6 months apart or something.
I mean, honestly, I'm looking and it's just there's nothing that he's made that I don't like.
No, and there's nothing.
I think if there's anything that I need to revisit, it's probably Death Proof. That one's got a real dull spot. The problem with Death Proof is it should have been it was appropriately the B picture in the double feature, but it still feels like they should have put it first and let Planet Terror build you up, be like the crescendo,
right? Because the problem with Death Proof is that it has a sagging moment after the big crash at the middle part, and then it reintroduces the new characters, and it's like, oh my God, I've gone through a movie and a half now. It's like
I'm okay with it until they get to the diner scene the next morning, and it's like, whoa, we're still with these characters and nothing is happening. Yeah.
But Jackie Brown was good.
The Jackie Brown's very good. What would you say what's this fighting for number 2 with on? Because you and I this is number 2, right?
I don't know if this is my number 2, but that's what I was thinking about.
I mean, just from like pure nostalgia, Reservoir Dogs is way in the conversation.
That would probably be my second.
I saw that before I saw Pulp Fiction, even.
I did too, but I didn't know that it was Quentin Tarantino.
And that was a movie I watched a lot. I think it's not when you put it up against the rest of his Reservoir, it's maybe not as great, but it still kind of holds a personal connection. This is going to be unpopular, probably, but I really like The Hateful Eight. I really, really like it.
It's good. It's real good. I could probably like lump 6 of his movies into the same spot.
Yeah. Well, and that's
I
what
like
I'm
all
looking
these
at.
movies kind of equally.
Like after Pulp Fiction, this and Reservoir Dogs probably clear number 3 for me, just again for nostalgia.
Yeah.
And Stephen Wright as the radio guy, that fucking kills me.
I really love Reservoir Dogs.
It has those
but
moments
then after
too,
that, they all
forget.
Yeah. But then after that, it's like the rest of his filmography, I think, is just fourth.
I agree with that. It's because it's also so totally different.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's always Tarantino, but it's also like very pinpoint.
Well, yeah.
pastiche.
And it's like, but as much as I liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, do I like that more than I liked the 2 Kill Bill movies as one piece?
Those are like,
I know. And I like Kill Bill Volume 2 better than 1. That is just, it's so good.
The great thing about Tarantino is as Tarantino is all his movies are, and I think you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them, with the exception of maybe Pulp Fiction, are a different mood.
Yeah.
It's like
and
I'm in the mood.
genre,
I'm
too.
in the
Genre.
mood for this. I'm in the mood for that. There's always a Tarantino movie. The thing that makes Pulp Fiction for me like transcendent film is that it almost doesn't matter what my mood is.
Never.
It's just it's
Never.
good, It's
Right?
just
You
so
can just
good.
put it on.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like kind of like The Big Lebowski. Doesn't matter what I want to watch.
Yeah.
Like that movie will scratch the itch somehow.
Pulp Fiction just feels like lightning in a bottle.
It is.
And everybody involved in that movie knows it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Think about
it's transcendent.
Yeah.
it's what's great about it is that it's a movie that's so good that there's like, you could probably say that certainly in the later part of the 90s and in the early part of the 2000s up until about maybe 10 years ago or so, like a lot of people talk about like, Bruce Willis had a big ego about everything. I don't think he had an ego about Pulp Fiction.
Everybody like plays their part
No.
in that movie. Everybody plays,
And they're perfect, and they're perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Every single person, top to bottom, in that movie is perfectly cast.
Maybe we should talk about that movie sometime.
I think maybe we should.
Because we talked about that as much as Jackie Brown.
Yeah,
Almost
we
it
have
feels
a little
like
bit.
No.
Not as much.
No,
I'm joking.
no.
But man, I love me some Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, we should talk about it.
Well,
Maybe we could do a Reservoir Dogs Pulp Fiction double
feature.
episode.
Well, you know what, guys?
What?
The end of next month is our 250th episode.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
I think that's an out of sight idea.
out of sight.
You know what? I was just thinking about Out of Sight earlier, too.
Were you?
Yeah.
Why is that, Jeff?
Because...
What?
No, let's talk about that next week, as a matter of fact.
Good idea.
You know what? But I don't think we're going to be done with Tarantino by the end of this month.
No, we're not.
Anyway.
Is Out of Sight our first Soderbergh? I think it is.
My brain just shut down. Might be, but it's a gooder.
It is a gooder.
It's a real gooder.
Yeah.
I was so excited to get that on 4K.
Nice.
So that's next week.
That was next week. So, yes, next week at filmseizure.com, join us for our second part of our surprise Elmore Leonard double feature
Yeah.
with Out of Sight. Return of Ray Nicolette
Yes.
in a cameo scene.
Yes, yes.
But this is to me 1998 Out of Sight 25th anniversary this year. Damn. Those years went by fast. But this is peak like Clooney and J-Lo.
It's
Certainly peak J-Lo.
This is Clujo.
Clujo.
This is sexy.
Oh,
Their chemistry is
it's
pun.
smoldering.
Out of sight.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Got
It
him.
is. It's sexy.
It is.
It's sexy.
It is. That's why I put it on the list.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find it once we put it up?
Filmseizure.com. So that's going to be next. What? Oh my gosh, everything's falling off the table here. Okay. Next Wednesday, filmseizure.com. Come and listen to Out of Sight. Next Monday, we got an episode of Monster Mondays.
What are you covering?
Monkey Shines.
Nice.
Oh, that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
That guy.
Georgie Romero.
Little George Romero. First time I've covered George Romero on Monster Mondays.
Huh. Interesting.
Is it the first time you've covered Stephen King on Monster Mondays?
It's not Stephen King.
It's not.
He wrote it.
Nope.
Didn't he?
Nope.
I think so.
I talk about that, as a matter of fact, that I thought it was a Stephen King, but it's not.
Huh. I thought it's a short story.
Nope.
Never mind.
Nope. It's written by somebody else. It's written by a British man.
They
who-
work together a lot, but not that one.
Not that one. I talk about that too with Creepshow
Creepshow.
That was
Dark-
just
and
a
the
setup.
Dark
I
Half.
just
and
let
the Dark Half.
Yeah.
I just led you into your
Yeah, there you go. So you can come and hear more about that confusion between whether or not Monkey Shines is a Stephen King.
The VHS box cover of the Monkey Shines with the little poem.
Oh
on it
yeah, it's great.
creeped me out as a
It's
kid
great.
so much.
It's
Yeah.
actually a really good movie.
I agree. I think I like it quite a bit.
It's gotten its appropriate reevaluation over the last few
quite
years.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I went on my Romero kicked in the pandemic, and I hit that one, and I loved it. Yep.
for me, it's not quite Dawn of the Dead, which we did talk about.
Well, of course not.
And it's not quite Martin either.
Agreed.
But it's very good.
I agree.
It's really, really good. Anyway, so yeah, that's going to be next Monday.
What? Stephen King wrote a story called The Monkey, which also has a cymbal banging monkey.
Oh, that's so creepy. Weird.
Ah, okay.
So I've conflated the two. Apparently.
Yeah.
I think I did too as a kid.
Easy to do. Yeah.
I did as a kid too.
That's so weird.
Because either my mom or my grandma had Monkey Shines as a book, and it's like, or had the monkey.
Yeah.
Or something. Anyway.
Well, Romero getting involved is absolutely going to conflate it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, so that's next month. But you know what? We got a little business this Friday.
We do?
Oh. Friday the 13th.
Oh, shit.
So we'll have a special episode this Friday. So everybody tune in for that, where we're going to talk about the series as a whole and kind of rank them and give our own personal opinions on that.
Oh, yeah. Is that what we're doing? I got to start watching again.
I know. I got to get...
I don't need to. I've watched these movies so fucking much. I don't need to. But also...
Seriously, yeah.
Also this Friday at bmovieanima.com, David Winter's Winter continues with a really, really, really pretty decent, kind of skeezy little slasher film itself. The Last Horror Film.
Oh, I know this. Yeah.
Yeah, with Caroline Munro and Joe fucking Maniac. Help me out here.
Joe Spinell.
Joe Spinell. Thank you.
Is it a play on The Last Picture Show at all?
No.
No.
Not.
But it is it is this amazing little movie that it takes place at Cannes Film Festival, but it's all stolen footage. It's fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
It's a well-made little... It is a little sleazy.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
but
Joe Spinell's in it. So.
Yeah. But he is great in it. Yeah. Holy shit. Anyway, so that's at bmovieanima.com. Go read that review. Yeah. But yeah, so come next week, we're going to talk about a pretty darn good 1998 flick.
Heck yeah.
So until then, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.
Dangus.